Hello there, roomies. It's crazy meeting you out.
So what we're doing?
We're out here taking a walk, touching grass literally. I'm tired of these online leftists. This isn't the right way. This leaf right here, we touched it, yo. That's it. I'm ascended, yo. I'm safe. Oh, we got a secret trail, yo. Let's go. Yo, this is a chill spot.
That's what today's discussion is going to be like. It's going to be those talking points, ideas that we talk about, and how it all connects. Especially to
the environment, fascism, the recent bills that we're announcing in Canada, immigration issues, class, race, gender, sexual preference, orientation are all interconnected. And it's on us to break down how. How is that the case? How could these seemingly so different concepts tie together? It's because of this guy right here.
Nintendo recently said Mario and the princess they're just friends.
That's how it is, man. Let them be friends.
Let them be friends.
Let them be friends.
A lot of people were disappointed, but it seemed right. They were not of same class.
Not the same class. It's a working class plumber.
This is a Bollywood movie at this point.
Her parents did not approve of this.
Yeah. So now you can see he's doing Donkey Kong shit. So welcome.
We've ascended from touching grass to touching leaves, yo.
Don't break your bones by doing that, my friend. And welcome to our new pod.
Welcome to our podcast.
Welcome to our podcast.
Wildlife podcast. There's a lot of trees and shit over here. Yo, 93% of our transportation is done via cars, and that's like the infrastructure we've built for that. Not again like the powers that run the country. Like we sold our future, we sold our ability to easily commune, to easily find people, to easily make community, and to have walkable cities and things like that because of a couple oil tycoons who we basically allowed they pushed us so much for car-based infrastructure and gasoline-based infrastructure like cars and that kind of stuff.
I heard this somewhere that the British Petroleum did this consumer report thing, and they did this research on how petroleum is going to affect the world back in 1960s and 70s, I guess. And they literally hijacked the whole research so it doesn't come out, and people will never know what will be the actual consequences of the high use of petroleum or fossil fuels.
That's interesting because I also heard something similar, which is that Shell and those companies knew back in like the, I think 60s, 70s or 80s, like pretty far back, what the effects of this stuff would be. And again, like you said, they just didn't release that stuff to the public, or that stuff hasn't been public knowledge. And it is interesting how like information can easily be withheld. Like we're dealing with like the Epstein file case and everybody talking about that and how that's being withheld.
And also it takes a conspiracy turn sometimes, which I don't like, because there are actual facts and figures to basically support how this capitalist organization have manipulated our system and the way things work around us. But still people fall into that conspiracy rabbit hole and try to blame on some community or some particular.
It always happens. It's like they fall in, but like they're plucked in with by the capitalists with their, like for example in America, like what was it, Murdoch Media, Rupert Murdoch, like that media company owns like so much of the news networks and so much of the news, and they can filter exactly what they want the people to hear. You can put that and that like gets people to fall into these conspiracy theories and kind of stuff so easily. And the other thing is, again, we're watching with like how we can basically, like you were touching on how we can instill a lot of hate for entire groups of people based on just like quick little lies that the media will spit, and then they will continue to propagate. We can see that with like any major conflict. We can see that with like in the past too, with like the Iraq War and how that was covered with like all weapons of mass destruction, or like the Indians, how we're being blamed for so many things going on in Canada, like the housing crisis, which aren't things that we're massively contributing to.
Or refugees in Western nations are in similar way being targeted for something they never did.
No, something they never did, or Hispanics in America just being saying, oh, these guys are druggies, these guys are making things unsafe. It's like, no, they're just coming up to America and they're just seeking a better life, just like all of, like
some
just like the rest of us.
Some people forget that some people left those countries because of the conditions created by these countries.
Nobody talks about that. When we don't engage with history well enough, then we don't understand the conditions that brought people to that point. People will be like, oh yeah, like India's just a dirty, smelly country and everybody just wants to come over here and make this place a dirty, smelly country. Like you hear that from racists all the time. And it's like...
And sometimes I'm like, in this day and age, you still believe that? It's just kind of like crazy to me.
It's wild. And again, it's just like, have you not considered that Britain ruled half of the world and like they pilfered all of their resources, pilfered all of that. And then even when the countries gained independence, the IMF would continue like demanding loan repayments. Yep. Even though like they took their money, they're basically like here, take a loan to take the money back that we stole from you.
Yeah.
And you keep
in
these
form
countries...
of resources too, by like in Western African countries, they kept pumping petroleum out of those countries.
Yep.
Even when they were independent. Like what do we see? Like if our viewers can go and check Franc Afrique, it's a special kind of term that's being used to describe the French policy to still control the Western France or French-speaking Africa till this date.
It is wild because we're not even at the point where people are questioning why so many countries in Africa speak French of all languages, right?
Yeah.
No, nobody's putting that like parallel together. Maybe they were brutally colonized and like massacred, and like you heard about like the Belgian genocides as well. I'm actually the King Leopold's genocides as well. He cut off children's hands.
And that's close to the numbers that Hitler did.
Yeah. Honestly. And it's just like, these are the conditions that make the countries that everyone's emigrating from want to leave those countries and come to the places that have all of their resources.
Their resources. If they had those resources in their
why would they leave?
And you not have corrupted the governments over there by bribing them so you can take the more resources out, maybe they won't be here.
And it's like, I never understand why. I mean, I do understand actually. It's just so unfortunate that, again, people are never taught to really question things. They kind of just accept the media at face value and accept the conversation at face value. Like a common argument will be something like, well, you know, housing is just a supply and demand issue.
No, same thing about even those country got independence.
Yeah.
We have case of indigenous peoples in places like Canada, Australia, or anywhere in Southern America or America.
Yep.
And then we have some certain bills, even if those people have rights now and they have fought for their rights for a very long time, but you still see in this, even these nations are governed by pretty liberal governments, you see a kind of discrimination, and also, you know, sometimes people are like, you're not listening to them.
Not only that, you don't treat them as humans, you treat them as like savages. Apparently, like, if I remember correctly, like when Canada was like Canada's a settler colony, but it took
it's still a colony.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what they did was it took so much longer for the indigenous people to be able to have the right to marry, to be able to reproduce, because that's just like eugenics in the form of law.
And in modern day too, we have bills like
the C5 and the 2C coming from Mark Carney and Doug Ford, and dude, the ability for them to just dig right through their land without needing permits, the ability for them to continue rigging for oil as they push for those kinds of things is wild. It's still continued dehumanization, like so long after the initial colonization process. You murdered them with disease and blankets. You like massacred them en masse. You sent them to residential schools. Tried to turn the children white. You did horrible experiments on them. The reason we have nutrition facts at all is because they found out what is the minimum amount of food we can serve to a human being to survive, and they tested it out horribly against indigenous people.
And also the forced fertilizations too, which was done by these governments so they cannot have indigenous babies.
Exactly. And we don't talk about the fact that like things like laws are violent in a way. Like again, like we said earlier, there are some situations where like they could not legally marry, or they couldn't like maybe have kids. There were certain things like that where they just even just by pen and paper, they're just committing genocide via eugenics.
Yep.
And the interesting thing is, like, we see this all the time.
As they say, the pen is mightier than the sword.
The pen is, like, violence is not just blood coming from a bullet or a gun.
Yep.
A bullet or a sword. It's the idea that violence is every day. Violence is your your necessities to live being withheld from you via law. If we don't recognize that as violence, then it makes resistance against these things appear violent, right? Like that's how it's generally framed. Like, oh, we're going to stand and block the road. We don't want anybody to come into this institution because we're on strike. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, that's violent. Mm-hmm. And these laws and these things are enforced violently upon us by the police state and via the laws that continue to oppress people, especially minorities. Mm-hmm. Like, do you remember in America where that guy's like, hey, if you just discount black women, then child mortality rate, what is it, maternal mortality rate, I think, when you give birth to a child is really low. Just discount black women. I was like, does that not ring like alarm bells that like this is eugenics in progress?
Yeah.
And again, like this is happening like all the time. These kinds of like simple little laws like have like huge consequences, and the majority of the people who aren't affected by these laws don't even know that they exist. So
wasn't there this Malcolm X quote too, like about will the sheep will be wrong to defend itself when there is a wolf there to hunt it down? Will that defending themselves will be violence?
Right, it would have to be necessarily, and it is every aspect of our system, if you want to analyze it, is violent. I am a type 1 diabetic. This costs me money because Frederick Banting wanted this to be free. This is insulin, by the way. This is not drugs, for all the stoners in the chat. I mean, I guess it is another type of drug, medicinal drug, but this costs, and you get medical benefits are tied to your ability to work. Just by being a citizen, you're not like guaranteed benefits like this. You have to be employed. And that's like eugenics against disabled people, which happen all the time. We don't really consider the views of the people who aren't, who are disabled, like, because they often get left behind. They're the first people to get like left behind in like any situation. And that's kind of like what we're dealing with. Like again, Bill 2C and 2C and 5C, right?
Yep.
Are both really interesting bills that are coming out that I'm really curious as to why they're not getting more attention. Like I went to a protest for I think it was Bill C5, because that was the one impeding on Indigenous rights.
Yep.
On Canada Day, they had a protest, and the police cracked down on everyone super hard. They were pushing people around, pushing them on the ground, trying to force arrests, using the bubble bylaw, which was passed earlier, restricting our ability to protest near certain protected institutions.
So why this conflict between natives, Indigenous peoples, and the government's new bill? What's so harmful in there that people have to come down to streets to fight for their rights again?
I'm still looking into this, but like from the little bits that I saw about it, it has to do with the ability for the government to just ignore the Indigenous people when they're planning new projects in certain areas. They can just
claim all the land, permission to build something.
They just say, all right, we don't need to, we have the authority to just override that. We don't need to negotiate with the Indigenous, whose land this actually is.
And it all comes down to like fossil fuels.
A lot of it comes down to extraction, resource gain, land conquest, the simple tools of imperialism, right? And it's like, I didn't do it justice with that description. To everybody watching, I'd highly suggest you guys look into this as well, read into it some more. But it's generally very bad for the Indigenous people, generally very bad for the environment as well. And Bill C2 was very bad for immigrants.
Yeah.
Because I saw that one, I heard a little bit more about. And that one is like, the government has the ability to revoke your immigration papers at any time if they deem you doing anything anti-national or anything that's against public interests, right? And that's, if the government has the ability, if the people in power have the ability to define what that is, that basically means if they don't like you, they can get rid of you.
So if, for example, if you're an environmental activist just like you as yourself, so that can be a problem, because if you're doing any kind of resistance against some kind of project will be deemed as
anti-public interest. And again, that's such a loose term on purpose because they can just slide that definition to whatever they want.
Like, because I've been following BC pipeline issue for a very long time, like the wet sweat, if viewers in the chat know, it's the same thing, how federal government used its power, how courts used its power to overthrow those people from their lands, and kind of journalists saw a very clear picture. And those journalists were kind of like, their work was broken in, their memory cards were taken, the cameras crushed. So there's a lot of like things that have happened previously in few years. If somebody wants to look into the wet sweat or BC pipeline issue, definitely check out the Yintaha documentary. It's a beautiful documentary created by some beautiful artists, and they cover this issue with the beautiful people of wet sweat and those territories who have worked to oppose this pipeline and how it destroys nature. It gives you a good gist into the whole issue.
Yeah.
Gives you a good gist how the activism, direct action happens in the real time and how it affects the families and the people around them. And that documentary covers actually a large span of time. It's not like 2-3 years.
Okay, yeah.
It's like 5, 6, 7 years of work in there. So definitely check that out. That's something that you have to look in. I know the BC pipeline is about to completion and they have done some test runs. So that's kind of, as from like your environmental perspective, that's kind of like damaging to environment itself. But doing it in the name of patriotism or
patriotism, yeah, it's
and
crazy.
nationalism, it kind of also damages, it hurts the cause more because if those indigenous people stand their ground, they will be deemed as
violent.
Like what did the bill said?
Anti-nationalist, anti-public interest, and those kinds of things. Again, like we're talking about pipelines, that's also something that's in this bill as well, like their ability to continue to build pipelines without needing to consult the indigenous at all. Mm-hmm. And it's a continuous process. It's been happening this whole time. And that's what brought us all here, to touch grass, to be part of, to kind of embrace nature in a way, because this is what we're giving up for more roads, for more infrastructure, for more urbanization, that kind of thing. We forget nature, we forget the earth, we toss it aside almost. We don't work in harmony with it. We don't use technology in harmony with the earth. We use technology to destroy the earth. We continue to produce more greenhouse gases. We continue we've crossed like the 1.5 degree threshold I think we needed to be before. I know David Suzuki was talking about this recently, where it's like there is no plan under the system we're living in for there to be a green earth. There's no way, because it's not profitable. If the safety of the planet we're living on has to be deemed profitable to be something worth endeavoring for, then it's like, what are we doing? What are we as a species? What are we as a community? What are we as a collective doing?
Also, there was a recent interview by David Suzuki where he says like he feels there is no hope now.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one you're talking about, right?
Yeah, there's no.
And
but
he just directly goes in. He's like, he doesn't feel there's a hope anything from government, because government has started working so much against the environment that he feels like he doesn't feel hopeful at all. He's this is the end. This is it.
It's it for the main thing I think he wanted to get across. Mm-hmm. Well, we don't want to sensationalize too much. Mm-hmm. The whole point of that is not to just stop and just like, hey, let's just make more let's just burn the world faster and not give a shit. Let's just make more. Let's just continue to worsen things. That's not the idea. The idea is more so that what we want more than anything is that it's not possible for there to be good change under the system under the way things are currently going. Mm-hmm. There is no way for things to get better. And that's the most important thing. We cannot get better. We cannot push towards a livable future under the current systems. That's the key. Don't take his words in like a doomerist kind of way where it's like, who cares anymore? You know what?
Like
the earth is
done.
dead. Like, there's no point. Like, it's not meant to inspire defeatism or hopelessness. It's meant to just say there is an urgent change. There's an urgent need for change, and the way the systems we have constructed. Well, we need to be able to. Oh, we're going this way. we need to be able to change those. We need to be able to fight for something different that gives us the means to, fight for the planet, fight for a livable future.
So let's talk about these pipelines and stuff like we have touched the topic already. How these pipelines affect us? Why these pipelines are being built? Like, let's just say from a perspective, I did a overview before when I was talking about wet sweat. But if we go into these importance of these pipelines, what's all about?
Well, in a sense, you could say it's a lot of things. Like when we talk about these issues, it's a lot of factors. We can't isolate it to one, but like there's aspects of nationalism. Canada is known for exporting a lot of oil. We kind of get it from I think the center, near the Saskatchewan, Alberta area, we get especially a lot of oil there. And again, that comes in conflict with the indigenous, that comes in conflict with all sorts of things. We get to export the oil, and again, North America is 93%, according to a statistic I saw. I'll post it in the comments of where this video goes up. I'll send you guys a link to that post. But 93% of our transportation is via cars, and that kind of things requiring
fossil fuel.
Things requiring fossil fuels, yes. And we've created a system that demands more of that, right? Like if we were using imagine electric trains everywhere, there would be different ways we can generate the power without needing to rely solely on fossil fuels. But we're barely even making that trend because again, it's not considered profitable. It's considered it's considered more profitable to keep things going as is.
My question is this thing with Trump,
eh?
Like we are trying to fight him in certain way. These bills were brought in to show us it's a fight against Trump's idea of USA and how he wants things to be dealt with. Do you think this is a justified way of fighting, or this is just giving those people in power another reason to accelerate the things that were already in progress?
You basically said it there. Yeah. And what's interesting is we're talking about the other bill, C5, the immigration bill from Mark Carney. That's basically implying Trump-style surveillance and the ability to continue to harass international students and deny them their visas.
There was a bill about refugees too. If you haven't declared yourself refugees within a certain period of time, they will not accept your file.
And again, these systems get really, really difficult. These systems, they're made as confusing for the students as possible. You've heard people talking about it, we've been with the student encampment of how I was supposed to file this at this time, I was supposed to do this at this time. When you make systems like this that are so difficult to people already struggling to build a new life, already struggling to pay triple the tuition fees and already have to struggle so much with finding a place to live, working minimum wage jobs, multiple of them, and having to maybe raise a family as well.
Yep.
And when you do that and you make bills as confusing and difficult to navigate as they are.
Yes, I read when it was introduced in the parliament, I read the initial report, and it was a very jargon heavy, nothing was clear in it. I'm they were oh, we'll make some exceptions, but what is the exception?
Yeah.
What is the exception? Will Palestine, the people from Gaza, will be an exception? Or is the color of your skin, is that going to be an exception?
Yep. And that's the reason I'll also want to tie this back. I was going to say this earlier, I think, is even if you are watching and you are a citizen of the country you're in, if you're a citizen of America, citizen of Canada, it's important for you to still fight for these issues. I am not on a work permit. I'm not on a student permit. I was born in this country. But that doesn't mean that I won't be affected by these changes, right?
Yep.
We've already seen so many cases in America how people get abducted, taken away, even though they are legal citizens of a country. It's not the way they sell these bills to you is the idea that we are going to protect this country. We're going to keep all the illegals out, the dangerous people out. That's how they frame it, right? But what it really is a way to get other marginalized communities out of the country, get them out of there, and again, all we have to do is look at what's happening in America and see the writing on the wall that's happening here with Bill C5. It's the exact same thing, right? If I'm a citizen, but they could look at me at a pro-Palestine protest or at a anti-Bill C-5 protest or at a pro-environmental protest, they could look at that, deem me illegal, deem me anti-national, deem me a terrorist or something, and then use that kind of language, that kind of jargon to justify sending me to India, even though I've never been there. Right? Like they could do that. And again...
And they can say you are not Canadian just because you're color of your skin.
They can say that. Nobody's going to look at me and be like, oh yes, Gripinder, yes,
even if
citizen.
this nation is not a white nation.
Yeah.
Not by white people. All of us are colonizers at some point.
Yeah.
They will still deem you as non-white and give them ample evidence, and at least in the public's opinion, if they want to win that battle.
And that's the tricky part, right? Because like when we look at like there is no questioning of like people who come in from Germany, people who come in from Ukraine, etc.
Yeah.
They're not questioned in the same way that we're questioned because we're deemed as outsiders. We're deemed as like not of this country. This isn't our land. We're kind of just visitors here, but we should get the fuck out when they're done with us.
It's just it's a selective colonist perspective. Colonization only for whites.
Which is, it's like
I don't see myself any different than any colonizer if I'm not helping indigenous or native people in there, making their lives better or doing something to support them. Until and unless I do that, I take some kind of direction. I'm also a colonist like anybody else. I feel like that. If that's true or not, I don't.
Just remember, like I agree.
Yep.
In the way I'll reframe it and I'll say, nobody is free until everybody is free.
All right.
So until the indigenous have like full rights, are treated like full humans and are like, you know, if there is a bill that says, hey, we can just plow through your land without your consent, we are restricting, like we're going past those native restrictions, we're bypassing all of that. That kind of tells you that one group is not seen as equal to another group. You can kind of see it just from that.
We rule you. It just tells them indirectly that we rule you, we rule over you, we are your overlords.
And that's like the issue. I wish people would understand also, because the last plight I made was basically to other Indian people and other colored people, why, even if you're citizens of a country, why you should want to fight for these rights. It isn't just the immigrants' plight, it's all of our plight. But the interesting thing is, from the perspective of the colonist, the things, all right, here's where I get into a little bit into the leftist bag.
Okay.
Your economic situation is not that great either. You are also victims of capitalism in the system we live in. You're living, like, houses still cost $1 million for you. Your jobs still don't pay you as well. You're getting fucking pizza parties instead of raises, right? We all hate this shit, including you. But the issue is, we, like the people who are coming to this country, the immigrants, they're always being, the failures of capitalism are being blamed on them. For example, the housing crisis. They say, well, you know, it's just a supply and demand issue. We just have more students here, and therefore, that means there will be less houses for the rest of us. Simple. But I invite you, to anybody watching this, to tell me how, if you could look at college and university tuition fees, triple that for an international student, and have them only working jobs like Uber and Wendy's and Tim Hortons and things like that, on those kinds of wages, and they're probably not even getting full minimum wage. They're getting exploited because their ability to be in this country is dependent on what their employer thinks of them. So if the employer says this guy wasn't a good worker, all right, well, just deport him. The LMIA process is terrible and really exploitative. And so they're probably not even getting paid like minimum wage. They're probably getting paid a few dollars below that, along with other means of exploitation. All that to say, if minimum wage is $18 and you, a member of this country, I don't like the language, but like if you, someone who was born here, wants to work that job, you are in competition with somebody who they can pay a lower wage to. You are not going to win that. But if you help the immigrant plight and make sure that they're treated on the same level as you are, what that means is it's an equal competition in the eyes of a capitalist, right? Like $18 for you, $18 for you, you have better understanding of like maybe English and whatever, you're more likely to be picked than if you cost $18 an hour and I could pay this person $15 an hour and get 10 hours worth of labor out of them, because if they don't, I'll just send them back to their country. They're probably gonna go for the person they can exploit more. So when you have more anti-immigrant policies and you go, rah, rah, yeah, fuck the immigrants, our jobs will come back, yeah. what you're actually doing is making the situation worse for yourself. And understand, again, the immigrants aren't the ones taking your jobs. The capitalists have been exporting your jobs to China, to Bangladesh, to the global south for so many decades to save money. Your jobs were sold and your futures were sold a long time ago. The fight that we're fighting for a better future and for a better planet is also your fight. That's the thing. We're not fighting against you, the people who live in this country and who are nationalists. We're not against you. We're for a better situation for everybody. And that's kind of me getting into a little bit into my leftist bag. I don't want to go too deep, right?
No, again, it covers our topic too. For example, you touched the infrastructure there, right? How housing crisis has happened, how immigrants get blamed for it.
Yeah.
And again, if you look at the housing crisis, the majority of it's happening is because of the investment part of it. How the big multinational corporations, who are the housing corporations or
real estate
corporations or investment corporations like BlackRock and Vanguard, and some others, how they are getting into the market as well. And for example, if somebody makes people say, we'll build a low-income housing.
Who do you think gets those first?
Who has the access to that kind of money? These kind of corporations.
Corporations can just buy them at a steal. Sure, buy low, sell high, classic.
Yeah, it's a cheap deal for them. It's a cheap bargain. And then, again, it touches our topic. It touches our podcast because we talk about the infrastructure. We talk about planning. And again, we need to have rent control zones or something like socialized housing like Austria has. And we have to focus on these kind of features because if we keep it up for sale, then it's up for sale. When the highest pair will buy, highest bidder will get the bag, man.
When you commodify human needs, then you have a huge issue because then there are people who can't access their needs if they aren't able to get the commodities or if they're deprived from the commodities. They're deprived from the money they need to be able to get a house. If they're deprived from the means to get insulin to live, then that's how you keep people subservient to you. That's how you keep the boot on their neck and say, you accept these conditions or else you don't get that insulin. You don't get shit.
Yeah, free healthcare. No, we want universal healthcare. We want universal free housing for everybody.
Exactly.
I was reading this thing about Finland, that how they improve the schooling system there. So what will happen, you will introduce public schools, but the funding won't go to public schools properly. There will be some kind of issue that it will lack the proper infrastructure to fight with the privately funded school.
Are you talking to me about Noam Chomsky's quote? Yeah.
So what they did, they kind of made the rich people send their kids to same public schools. What ended up happening, those people were forced to pay money towards the development of those public schools, which ended up bringing everybody up on a level, and everybody's getting similar quality of education. And as you go, if you can look up the numbers, Finland has one of the best schooling systems on the entire globe. So I think they did something right. There's a famous documentarian. I will post the link in the bio, but he made a whole documentary about it. So you should go and watch how they improved the Finnish schooling system as compared to Western schooling or American or Canadian schooling system. Mostly compared with the American system, which is way worse than Canadian system, I will say. But again, it's kind of a good example when public and private interests are aligned, but in a very socialized way, not in a capitalist money grabbing or I want better for me, but not for everybody else kind of way. And I think that's the biggest problem too, because if we don't look at that, more socialized options, then it's always going to be winner gets it all.
Are you telling me, Rumi, that things that are socially beneficial for the community are good for the people as a whole? Is that what you're saying?
That's what I was saying. I said it all right,
hell
brother.
Yeah.
More power to the people.
Power to the people.
It's all about sharing the power, right? So what I think when I think a little bit more socialized or socialist policies, there is power in our community, but that power is not universally divided between the people. It's held by some people who are
what percentage of the people?
More 1%, or you say political power, people who are in politics, right? That power needs to be divided spread out, and
the idea that power can be concentrated, it already signifies that there's something wrong with the system, I think.
And how we do that, it's capitalism. Capitalism's, or I will throw one more, people might get offended, religion. So they kind of use it, both people have, like look at Donald Trump is a perfect example. He used capitalism to buy the audience or to bring in the world's famous CEOs on the same seat, on the same table as him. And then he used religion to get normal people on board on his.
That's the way I'll always look at it. I will never look at religion as an equal evil to capitalism, but I will, one thing about...
No, as a tool though.
Yeah, as a tool, exactly.
As a tool though.
That's a tool.
As a tool. Religion has been used as a tool. It kind of tells us like how it's very important for us to kind of diversify that power system that's concentrated by very few.
Because the situation also is that, like, even if they made some states anti-abortion, the people there, the people with power, will still have access to it. It's not like it's
apart from them. They can still fly out to fucking Greenland.
They can do whatever they want, or they'll just have it performed in their own. Like, you pay the doctors a certain fee, ignore us, and then just go ahead, go through with it anyways. I don't want this. It's rules for thee, but not for me. And those with power will always be looking for their self-interests and ways to keep the marginalized under their boot. It almost always comes down to that. When we look at Bill C2, Bill C5, anti-abortion discussions in America, anything that involves two different classes or hierarchical structures, we see how the people on top always keep their boots on the neck of those who are they consider lesser. They have designated as lesser. And we see this everywhere, manifesting in real time with almost every marginalized community. Indians are facing a lot of racism in Canada. Hispanics are facing a horrible crisis with ICE immigration, the ICE deportations. We have situations with Palestine, Sudan, Congo, all under terrible crises. We have all these places we're witnessing in real time. And again, not just that, but just even the difference between rich and poor, how like the working class, for example, are finding it harder and harder just to live. All these things, the important thing I'm bringing up the reason I'm bringing all these things isn't just to like throw a bunch of terms and jargon at you. It's the idea that I would like people to understand is everything is connected. All these issues are interlinked. And that's the important thing. And that's why the idea shouldn't be, it's not affecting me, I'm fine, I'll just sit this one out.
So, like linking it back all to environment.
Yeah.
How do you think it will work? Like our this series focuses, like we have we went over so many diverse policies and a thing. How do you connect it to environment?
The environment's the biggest victim in all of this, honestly. It's like, again, when you start building pipelines, when you start looking what David Suzuki said, even if you are a suburbanite who's only lived in cities your whole life, you only lived in like cities and those kinds of like urban areas, the idea is in like maybe 50, 60 years, we're not going to have a habitable planet. There are already, I think we saw on, there's a page we follow on IG, Earth something.
Oh yeah, the Earth guy, yeah.
That page, they posted something so interesting, which is that there's a small island next to like Australia or New Zealand.
Tuvalu or something like that.
I think so, yeah. And they're planning to get people, like maybe 150 people to emigrate there every year because they know that in a few years that's going to be submerged. That's the other thing. Canada, anytime I hear Canadians talk about this shit, they're like, well, you know what? The other countries will sink, but Canada will be well above the water, so we're fine. What?
But I also have the thing. You might be the place that has to harbor more environmental refugees then. Are we prepared for certain kind of things? Because if we divert to it, like now I'm gonna pull my media analyst.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm just gonna jump into that.
Jump in those pants.
So we talked about right-wing policies. We talked about various things. How does it all connect? So I'll tell you this. So initially, we're going through an environmental crisis right now as we speak. Now, but on the other hand, the politics side, we are seeing emergence of right-wing politics, which is building walls, between people, building walls, between nations, building. So we are moving towards that kind of politics again. We're moving back to the isolationist kind of stand view. Now, if we move towards that, that's going to be a problem, because then we will have the environment crisis on one hand, and nobody will be there to open doors for anybody else.
And that's the thing. When you start having all these nationalist tendencies, oh, let's go Canadian, Canadian only, or America only, get all these Mexicans out, get all these Indians out, get all these Filipinos out, all these people out. The thing is, you're building rhetoric to say, no, we don't want these people in our country. You're building acceptance for what's going to be basically an ecological genocide.
Genocide, and then it will be like, oh, we'll accept the people from white countries, but not from these countries.
Basically, they're not questioned ever.
Yep. So at the same time, you have emergence of these fascist policies.
Yep.
At the same time, you have biggest ecological crisis in the world.
When capitalism is threatened, it always turns to fascism to protect its own interests.
The thing is, like, you are particularly well versed in the socialist literature.
I'm trying, I'm learning.
I will say. But the thing is, why does socialization, or more say socialism, seems to be like something that makes sense now?
The idea is we're watching in real time. Everybody during COVID, I think, has at least seen the statistics where the 1%'s wealth went like this. All these companies like Amazon, they started selling people so many things to their houses while people lost so many jobs. The poor got poorer and the rich got richer. And nothing has stopped since. There are excuses now like the tariffs to continue like letting companies like Walmart raise prices even further. Like, oh yeah, we're just doing that to discount the tariffs, to counteract the tariffs. We can see in real time that capitalism as it is a system that is made by the rich for the rich. It is a wealth extraction system not too far removed from feudalism, where the 1% are basically our collective kings and queens. And the idea with socialism is, it's hard for me to put into just a single word. There are so many better, more well-read people than me to listen to. I would highly recommend me not being your primary source with regards to socialism. But the idea is...
Think of us as conversation drivers.
Conversation drivers. If the workers... I'll give you a basic example. I was talking with a friend about this. We went to like a chicken katsu joint. A bowl cost $27. And I'm like, minimum wage is like $16. This person probably made 10 katsu bowls in an hour. So that's $160 of value. And like, for example, in 1 hour's worth of work, they can't even buy the katsu bowl from their own restaurant. 1 hour worth of labor. It's the idea that all that wealth and all that value is going to the boss, to the CEOs, to the shareholders, to the people who are higher up on the corporate ladder. And the situation, what socialism proposes is those who make the profit should be able to decide what to do with the profit. The profit.
Which is the workers who's doing actual work on the ground.
If you ever watch things like Rugrats, it's like, hey, we make the lemonade, why don't we just keep all the money? It's like little things like that. It's the idea that the workers should be able to distribute the profit how they see fit. And if we live in a society where we are able to work together, if we are in a society that is more collective and communal, like many parts of the global south are compared to the West, is we generally, in order to survive, just as a species, we have to work together. Even if we are so individualistic here in the West, when you buy a banana, you didn't grow that shit, somebody else did. Somebody else picked it, somebody else grew it, somebody else picked it, somebody else shipped it here. We are a fractured society, but we are still dependent on each other. What we need is the idea that we all take care of each other. Have you heard of the saying, it takes a village to raise a child?
100% since growing up.
And can you understand kind of what the situation is for modern day parents here, where it's just oftentimes both or all spouses are working. They don't have time to spend with their own children. They are not able to form that like communal like family bond. They are not even able to spend, because they're exhausted from working 8, maybe 16-hour shifts that they have to work multiple jobs to survive. And they can't do anything, and they don't have a village to kind of send the child to, because like daycare costs money, and again, you're not spending your own time with your own children. You don't have that time. One of the reasons I got so much into capitalism is, against capitalism is, it's a fight for our time back. We have lives to live. I'm like 30. I would love, in the best years of my life, not to be hunched over a desk for 8 hours a day, for so long in my life, to be sitting over a desk just working while the sunshine is bright, while nature is beautiful. Do you want me during the sunshine to just sit there and just like type TPS reports or some dumb shit? Well, like what the hell kind of life is that for like all my life?
Yeah. Until
I'm 70, then I'm retired. What the fuck am I doing when I'm 70? Am I like climbing trees, walking on hikes like these without a fucking walker? I'm gonna fall over. That will never work. That's what I like. And
how about the environment perspective?
The environment perspective, again, it's always like we have a disconnect with nature now because of how, because of the way we've set everything up. Everything is technological. Everything is big industries with large amounts of carbon emissions and the most inefficient means, because profit is what determines everything.
Yep.
We aren't able to, what's it called? Like, I'll give you an example.
Yep.
A capitalist way of, an example of like a weird capitalist way of providing a solution to the car situation is they say electric cars will make everything better.
Yep.
Electric cars, it's green, there's no carbon, there's less carbon emissions, no fossil fuels, where this is the future. But that kind of stuff doesn't actually help the environment.
Yep.
And again, the reason I say everything is interlinked is because like we've been plundering the Middle East and all these countries for their oil, access to their resources. If we switch completely from oil cars to electric cars, what happens then is we switch from the oil wars to the lithium wars, to these other wars, and instead Africa will be the ones who will be continuously exploited further than ever. It doesn't make anything better for the planet because there will still be incredible amounts of mining, incredible amounts of pain and suffering for other people around the world. It's still going to continue. There's still going to be a lot of wars. There's still going to be many bombs dropped, a lot of subjugation, a lot of anti-environmental practices. For electric cars, which do not actually help the environment, what they do is they help the car industry, and I'm a car hater, so I hate that shit.
And also, what kind of legacy are we leaving for our future generation?
They have to
If I am able to enjoy this right now, how much I will want my grandchildren, or not my grandchildren, somebody else's grandchildren. Brown, black, white, native, doesn't matter. This is for everybody, right?
You know something so simple within my lifetime that I've seen?
Yeah.
So simple. As a kid, there used to be winter with snow up to here.
Yeah.
Ridiculous snowball fights. Things were so much fun. Shit used to be like -30. I'm a winter enthusiast.
Yeah.
I'm watching, and I've seen green Christmases over the past like 4 or 5 years in Canada, where people think we live in igloos. So in like 10 years, aren't going to know what a snow angel is, a snowball fight, getting snow jobbed, and all these things.
It's getting hotter and hotter. Today is hot.
It's toasty.
It's toasted. And sitting right here in arms of Mother Nature, just being there in the moment, I'm feeling so relaxed. I feel like everything has changed around me. There's no stress. There's no wars. It's just me and the nature.
You ever think about the irony of the fact that nature gives us things for free, like fruits, vegetables, and things of the earth? And what we've done is said, all right, we're going to take that belongs to our business. You have to pay us $10 to access these resources. We've done this to ourselves. This is all man-made. All of our problems many of the problems we're facing are problems of our own creation, of a system that we are enslaved to, that we don't have a choice but to participate in. Right? The idea
I think we had a whole choice to create a system where everybody could have enjoyed the benefits of our industrialization, our modernization, of our environment right here. But every time I look at the world, it's like we're deliberately choosing all the other system out there rather than choosing that's much more simpler way of looking at things.
The way I'd say it is, this, I think, is a system that came right after feudalism. So feudalism was like the beta, and we're going right into that again, where it's like it's upward concentration of wealth. Everybody else exists to serve the uppers, to make them money, to make them what they want, what they desire.
Everybody's living, even in the West, everybody's living paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck to paycheck. And the thing is, the common argument you often hear from anything, from any oppressive system, is it's a meritocracy. It's because of my efforts that I'm here. For example, in India, the caste system, the Brahmins will probably say like, yeah, I worked hard to get to where I am. I worked hard to get the job and the wealth that I have. The Dalits probably just need to work harder. Women just need to work harder. They need to come up to where men are at. They're just not as motivated, apparently, according to them. Oh, colored people just need to work harder. Us, we're good. Like, we're just, we worked hard. A small loan of $1 billion, as our favorite president says.
Yeah.
That's it, like just one small loan of $1 billion. You don't have that, bro?
Yeah, it's a very small loan.
Just a small loan,
just like
bro.
That.
It's just little drops in the puddle of like wealth. People don't understand and they don't want to challenge the privileges they already have access to.
I will refute that.
Let's hear it.
I think people understand.
You think so?
I think people understand every bit of the thing we're saying, but they just have so much bias and they have so much discrimination in their blood veins, I will say, in their heart.
Interesting.
That they try to overlook it and they try to bend it according to how they see it fit. They don't like the picture as we show it. They want to hear the truth, but not from us.
Interesting. I'm not that much of a disbeliever in people. I believe in people.
No, I believe in people.
But I don't think as a society we're corrupt or we're cooked or anything like that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think we are. We are, as society, we are not just because of our individualism, but I'm saying also because of how our society is structured.
Yeah.
Is the structure of a society doesn't allow us to do the right thing.
That I will agree with. We're socialized to be like individualistic, self-serving, hoarding wealth, and
because it serves somebody, like you said, it serves the purpose of those in majority if we keep us like that.
It serves the rich basically to keep us as cattle for them, to keep us in a system where that's the case and to keep us fighting. Again, one thing Bill Burr said, which is really, really interesting, which is like, and it's like so obvious if you look at it.
He's a comedian.
He is a comedian. But he'll just say this, he's just like, yeah, they got us Democrats and Republicans just fighting each other, like half of the population just saying like, hey, fuck you guys, I'm just gonna like do things to spite the other side, they're against my interests.
Yeah. Because if people understand they have to stand with the other system, but they understood it. To stand with the other system, they had to deny this system, and to deny this system, you had to understand this system too.
But
to some level. I'm not saying philosophically high.
They don't even understand what capitalism is, right?
But somebody made them understand what socialism is evil.
Exactly.
And why it's evil.
That's part of the, like, again, when the media is owned by the people in power, what do? We get communism bad, 20 million people died in a famine, or whatever, 770 gazillion people died in Russia in a famine. But like, we don't talk about how there's hunger on the streets every time we walk. We walked in downtown Toronto, there were homeless people.
They're going to San Francisco, LA, I've been those cities. It doesn't look good.
Gaza is a man-made famine. Bengal and like all of India were capitalist-made famines that killed so many of us.
Yeah.
The idea that people hate communism because of a famine is like weird.
Weird.
Because we have man-made famines, not even like there's nothing else.
There's food in the storage that we cannot get to the people who need that food just because it hurts the profit of certain few.
It devalues the food.
Devalue. Okay, again, it goes back to logistics. We throw so much food out because it's a logistical issue. And why it's a logistical issue? Because there's no profit involved. If it was not a profitable logistical issue, the things won't have been so bad.
And if you keep people poor and desperate, they'll accept the lowest amount of scraps you give them. They don't have time to fight for anything better. They're struggling to live as is. They're paycheck to paycheck. They're stressed.
Because the other things make sense for them at this point.
Yeah. And that's kind of the interesting thing, is this is a position of privilege almost to be able to be talking about these issues. I also have to accept that I am able to talk about this because I've had the time to be able to read these things, to be able to dive into these things. Other people, they work their back-to-back 8-hour shift. They come home, they sleep. When are they reading anything about this? When are they like studying? When do they have the time to think about it? They're like, fuck, I gotta live. But the reason we're having these discussions is kind of understanding what are the systems that are putting the leashes on you? What are these sources of these leashes? When we talk about like immigrant rights, when we talk about like the idea of like borders and nationalism opening the doors to fascism, that's like, these things still link together. When we see how students have to pay so much more for tuition fees, students have to pay so much, get paid so much less for the labor they provide, and that wealth goes up to like the Tim Hortons CEOs, the Uber CEOs, the Spotify CEOs.
And all then those they invest that wealth into AI militarization.
And it's like, everything is interconnected. There's no such thing as like an isolated issue. When we talk about open borders and breaking those concepts down, it's not just about immigration, it's about fascism, it's about the right for people to have access to the necessities they need to live.
And also we are looking into future at this point.
Yeah.
And saying that, hey, this is not gonna work. The world we have created for ourselves, even if it's a bad world, it's still saying that we have the ability to redeem ourselves of what we did, but we're still not being able to understand that basic concept of redemption, that we still have it on hand. Like Lenin said, sometimes we have to grow trees whose shades we will never even enjoy, right?
Yeah, that's a bar, bro.
That's a bar right there. But I think this generation, the current generation, yours, mine, and coming over, I have no expectations from our previous generation.
I mean, either.
No, but I'm like, our generations and generations coming down further, we have to take charge, and
they don't have a choice. They have to fight at this point.
They have to fight.
I feel bad for them.
Generations before this, they had a choice.
They had a choice, but they decided, I'm going to just stay in my lane, focus on, I don't want to I'll have empathy a little bit, because a lot of our parents, for example, my parents are first generation immigrants. I'm a second generation born here. But for my parents, they're like, okay, we got to make a living. We have to work. We have to do exactly what we can in order to survive. And they faced racism. Like when 9/11 happened, remember in New York, the first person killed in the hate attack was a Sikh.
Was a Sikh.
And they felt that racism. They felt that, and they decided that it was in their best interest to stay low, to stay down low, and just don't push the bucket. Don't look at anything. War in Afghanistan, that sucks, but that's over there. War in Iraq, that sucks, but that's over there. Whatever, we're over here. And what we're realizing is, as we open our eyes, is everything that's happening over there, the birds will come home to roost. They'll come back here, and we'll feel those draconian policies continue to affect us here. We'll continue to see increased police budget, increased surveillance state, increased AI being used to keep databases on all of us. All these things, as we continue to bomb and destroy Africa, Palestine, the Middle East, all these countries, and we have destroyed so many. I can't even name all the countries that America has interfered with in the name of imperialism, or all the countries that Britain has conquered and taken over, right? They colonialized them, and there's so much of that. But when you're able to take a look back at history and read all these and notice that the song sounds the same as it did before, we're watching as fascism is here. And depending on who you ask, fascism has been here for decades. For the people who
never went away.
It was always here. The enslaved people, like black people who were taken from Africa and made as slaves here, they always knew this place was fascist. The police were literally slave catchers by design, right? And the U.S. system allows people who are in prison to work for free. They're like, oh, slavery is not legal except in prison. And why do we see so many colored people in prisons? I wonder. Free labor, free profit. Like, fascism has always been here. If you're asking, like, depending on...
It depends who you're asking.
Yeah. The people who are like, the general middle class, higher, fairer skinned, mostly men, they wouldn't know fascism is coming yet. They still think, this is fine. Just work your way through it. And those with degrees of marginalization, your gender, your sex, your
It's
race.
like they read that poem. They read the poem, they knew. I think that people need to read that poem again. And everybody knows what poem I'm talking about, so I should not have to recite it at this point.
So many good poems, like the first that came for the communists,
Yep.
and I didn't respond because I'm not a communist. Then they came for them, then they came for them, but then they came for me, and nobody stood up for me because there was nobody left. Again, to everybody watching, what I need you to understand is this is not a colored versus non-colored, fair versus dark kind of debate. I'm not framing this as, oh, the privileged versus the underprivileged. Everybody who's privileged, we got to be able to destroy them. The thing we have to understand is a lot of the white people living under capitalism are also living paycheck to paycheck, are also having their jobs exported to the global south because the employees, because the people there take lower wages because of imperialism. We also know that they have limited access to housing. What the media does is it says, hey, those people have color on their skin. They're doing this to you. Keep fighting amongst yourselves so that you guys don't combine to fight us. It's never supposed to be left versus right. It's supposed to be down versus up. And that's the key. To all the people who are saying, they just want to turn Canada into India, they just want to do this, they want to ruin our culture. Ask yourself, what happened during the Bengal famines and the 14 famines that followed after that, and the IMF? What happened to India after its independence? Why would it be the case that the global south is accepting lower wages? Do you think that the people just don't care? Do you think, do you genuinely think that we're barbarians? We don't give a shit. We'll just sit in the sticks and do whatever. The reason is a lot of people come here is because these are the places that have the opportunities that they were deprived of. When we talk about fighting for immigrant rights, when we talk about fighting for the rights of other countries like Congo and understanding what the oppressed have to go through, understanding that their conditions getting better makes our conditions better. If an immigrant student gets paid minimum wage the same as we do, there's no reason for them to be picked over you for a job. And that's what I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but I want that to be the point that's hammered in more than anything else. Wild to me is in the short span that capitalism has been a system for, so many millions of species have gone endangered and or extinct. Just from the short period, as we've destroyed their habitats, and as we look at trees, and we don't look at this as a tree, we don't look at this as a living being that produces oxygen, that is responsible for our environment, that is home to many animals. We look at this, and capitalism teaches us to say, that's lumber. All right, we can sell that. That's wood planks. This is how we can commodify this. So let's bring entire corporations to come here and extract X number of trees for X amount of profit. When everything is profit driven, the environment always suffers. Mother Nature hasn't been able to fight back yet against.
For example, when I talked about, people can check the Project Vagabond out. I recently did a discussion there that I was going through this old, rusty, gravelly kind of off-roading, right?
Okay.
To go to that place, I have to off-road and things like that. And I was enjoying it in a car, right? You will curse me. I know. Lord Gurpinder is angry.
We'll talk about this in the car afterwards.
But yeah, I was off-roading and enjoying it, and the same thought crossed my mind, how much fuel I have wasted.
How much fuel?
But it was fun, right?
It
was fun doing that. It is something, driving is something, as I've told you, I've enjoyed. Something like off-roading. What hurt me most, there was this, as I was going through, okay, we have cleared the path for people to travel, but then what hurt me, those logging areas, right?
Yeah.
Just magnitude, such a high magnitude of trees just cut down, burnt, things like that. It kind of break my heart because I'm somebody who loves nature, who loves being in nature. That's why I live in BC instead of Ontario. Just throwing some shade. But
we're cooked, yeah.
We're cooked. But that's one reason, because my enthusiasm to be in nature and natural surroundings has been with me since I grew up, since I was a kid. So
it's therapeutic.
There's this love and mutual respect for the nature. But at the same time, to enjoy that nature, I have to do things which I'm very against it, like driving that car
Yep.
to get to that destination.
Yeah.
Now I would love to ride horses, but but again, there's some parts to it, like some parts we try to enjoy, some parts we try to respect. There is the thin line.
Yeah.
But what I don't like is because that overly the commodity we have created out of woods, trees and stuff, like you said, and even we have technology to do so much more.
Yep.
We have held ourselves kind of aback.
Indeed.
And we are not letting ourselves grow. We are still so dependent on natural materials, which will be. Everything is kind of natural, from a mineral in the mine to the woods and the water. But again, the important topic, which I think definitely is sustainability. Sustainable use. Now, I don't know about you, Gurpinder. When I talk about fossil fuels, I look at more sustainable use of fossil fuels. Like, I know it will take some time for us to
divest from it.
To divest and go to renewable sources of energy.
Yeah.
But 100%, I think we will still need fossil fuels in to do certain other things, like get some plastics or Vaseline that everybody uses, right? It all comes from petroleum.
Yep.
So, but I'll look at more sustainable view. What I find more problematic, like over the years, sustainability has also been used as a tool to kind of guilt trip consumers.
Okay.
Like,
tell me more.
Like, for example, paper straw debate.
Yeah.
Now, my use of plastic straw, is it more harmful than a billionaire flying on plane?
Diabetes, but not at all. But the question you have to ask is, again, how does the media train us to think? What I mean by that is, the plastic straw has already been produced. By the time it reaches your hands, you're simply using it and then disposing of it.
It was the only preferred alternative provided to you.
But also, once the plastic straw has been produced, it's in the world. It's not able to be decomposed easily by virtue of being made of plastic. The fault isn't, I think, with the people who use the plastic that already exists, because we end up guilt tripping each other a lot. Ooh, you use plastic, you use this. The plastic's already been made. It's already not going to decompose. The moment it was produced, that's it. The environment is going to have to deal with this now for the rest of its existence.
And there's one more argument to support it. Our system that was designed to enable that, because plastic straw, what does plastic straw represent? It's come from, like fast food. It's easily available.
Yeah.
It's robust.
Mass producible. So our systems were designed away from long-lasting things, durable things, or things that could be repaired. Plastic straw represents that. Yep.
What if our systems were more sustainable, in the sense we were living in a world where, everybody had their own straws. It's just happening. I see a lot of people carrying their own straws and own utensils.
Get some metal straws.
Metal straws. I have metal straws too back home when I go camping or long trips like that. I carry metal straws. So I think the question comes back to, like, how this idea of easily you can get things, or
convenience.
Convenience, exactly. I was looking for that. The idea of convenience is so used in these kind of like structures that it enables capitalists to misuse, and
I could go on a tangent about convenience. Convenience is anti-community. Anything that's pro-convenience tends to come with an anti-community effect. I'll give you an example. You go to a store to purchase something, or you have it delivered to you. There's no human interaction in the latter. There's no, like, you kind of just have your package at the door, you pick it up, you go inside. That's a very modern example. But things like being able to congregate on the internet as opposed to face-to-face. Things like, again, deliveries, DoorDash, Uber's like individualized transportation as opposed to group transport. Do you remember when we were in Toronto, the last episode?
Yeah.
How many people were on the bus with us together? You got to see like high schoolers just talking to each other, talking mad shit, pushing each other around. Women with their stroller, we make way. Sometimes you you have conversations with these people. These are human beings going through their lives.
And you learn how to interact with the stimuli around you.
Exactly, you learn that. But when we are deprived of that, as we continue to be more convenient, as things become more convenient, it tends to atomize us and isolate us a lot more. We kind of lose our ability to speak to each other. We lose our ability, because the one thing I also want to talk about, this is a deep topic, so I'll go lightly this time and maybe dive deeper in another episode, is community is inconvenient, but that's okay. It's not solely inconvenient, but there are times where you have to see the ugly sides of your friends. You have to have arguments. You have to bicker with each other. You have to see these sides of each other. Sometimes your friend doesn't have a ride home. You got to drive him home. That's not convenient for you, but you do it out of a sense of love. You make, like, the inconvenience is part of the human interaction. There will always be a side of somebody. I don't know if I fully agree with that. I don't know if I'm down with that, but they're a complete person. When we get down to convenience, you hear of people going to like AI chatbots as romantic interests, because the AI chatbot will tell you exactly what you want it to hear. It's trained based on your interests and your stimuli, how it responds back to that. And there is no inconvenience. And that kind of kills our ability to talk to each other. When we look out and then we see, for example, oh, this person is a Dengist and this person is a Maoist. All right, you know, these guys are cooked. Fuck them, yo. It's more ways to isolate. And again, in India, can you imagine if there was like every single person who spoke a different language had a different sect of land where they were just together and we just all isolated based on things like languages, religion, culture, ethnicity. When you do things like that, you lose the ability to empathize with other people, see each other as human, and see the inconvenient sides of that. That takes something from you in order to build loving, nurturing relationships. Those of you who have partners understand that there are aspects of your partners that you don't like, but you're able to work together and deal with that. Yeah. Whether that be overcoming it, accepting it, understanding it.
And I think same is with the environment. The convenience kind of kills the purpose.
It kills the environment.
It kills the environment. I know it will be still things that might be still inconvenient for you, for example, carrying the straw around.
Yeah.
But
we can do with some of that.
Helping a bigger cause. Right, I'm not guilt tripping you, but again, because this was projected to us, the convenience matter, right? How AI also was born out of this convenience.
Out of a need for convenience. And again, I'll go back on your point. We don't need to guilt trip people. I literally checked my blood sugar using a phone with a meter that's on my arm here that's electronically made. It helps my life. I'm not saying let's go back to the sticks and drop all technological progress, but the idea is to be more mindful, like you're saying.
Sustainable.
Sustainable.
But not sustainable in the sense that these people will use jets to fly around to go from one place to another, which can be traveled by a train or simple public structures just because they can. So I think we have to start, if there's actually top-bottom approach, it has to be from how to control pollution and make things more sustainable. We have to start from the top.
100%.
We have to start from the corporations. We have to start from stop corporations from dumping that toxic waste into water or landfills.
Typically indigenous places.
There are so many indigenous places that don't have drinkable water. In Canada, the most developed country in the world, that parades around the world that we have cleanest water out of our taps. And
indigenous people?
In Canada, we don't have indigenous people with the access to drinkable or even something to wash themselves in.
That we poisoned.
They
didn't poison it, we poisoned it.
Or we didn't give that access to refine or treat that water.
Yep.
So it's very unfortunate that things like that has happened and still are happening. There's still boiling advisories in indigenous communities or many black communities in the United States of America.
Yep.
So I think the sustainable part, and we have to support the natives. We have to support the indigenous grassroots movements to understand how, because they are guardians of this nature.
They are.
They have looked over this nature for years and years and years. I think there are a lot of things we have to take note from them.
Yep. And do you notice how, in like especially in the West, because if our idea is to like consume, what we'll do is we'll kill off entire species, and we'll be like, "Oh, bumblebees, you produce honey for us, and we want to get mass amounts of honey. All right, these things we'll allow to live." And there are things like cats and dogs which we domesticate in order to be our emotional support. We don't have a genuine connection with nature. We use nature in a tool as a tool, and we don't give back to nature.
Yeah, it's communities.
Yeah. And again, nobody's free until we're all free, bro. That's why we can't look at them as like, oh, they're just other people. That's just them. Let's focus on us. Because anything, going back to the starting point, like Bill C-5, anything, all they have to do is declare you a terrorist, declare you an alien, declare you illegal, declare you a
threat to public system,
a threat to public safety, a threat, or a somebody. What do you call somebody who's imprisoned again? Like a criminal. I'm looking for the word. All they have to do is
so much is happening in our brains. We're trying to gather the right words.
If they can deem you any of those things and take your rights away, and they get to define what those things are, they can be like, all right, buddy, you're a terrorist. Get the hell out of here. Get into this labor camp, and get fucked for the rest of your life, bro. That's all they have to do. If we don't stand up for the people who are the most marginalized, there will be nobody who stands up for us, if you want to even look at it in a selfish way. We have to look out for each other. It's our duty as a community and as a species to be able to work together for the sake of all of us. Put yourself aside. Don't disregard yourself, but don't center yourself so much that other people can't even enter your realm of like the things you care about and love. We have to be able to have this love for nature. We have to have this love for the indigenous, the people, the immigrants, the people of different sexual orientations, gender presentations, etc. We have to be able to empathize and be able to care if we want to work together as a collective. Yeah. And that's necessary.
Like 100%. That's the way to build societies. That's the way to help our environment, and that's the way to bring people closer to each other.
Which is
we are more distant from each other than we ever imagined.
Yeah.
So
literally, to get to another person's house in Brampton, I had to take like a 1 hour long bus ride. That would have been the alternative. If we don't focus on communal means, public means of transportation, we don't, and car-based infrastructure is so shit. Anytime we were on a main road like Steeles, come on, Sonny, that place is ass. When you're driving on Steeles at 4 p.m., it's like, bro, I'd rather get out of my car and walk. And it's like, when we have trains that are able to go 300 kilometers an hour and don't need a driver, if we can use AI to actually get them to distance themselves appropriately and be safe, then we have things that can run 24/7. You don't have a situation where
that's a very positive use of AI right there.
Yeah. It's just an algorithm. People think AI is like some like space net or like some high-end being. It's just algorithms. You can use algorithms to determine when a train will be close to another train, to calculate proximity and these kinds of things. AI is not like that terrible. It's like computer programs. You don't need to drain the ocean to be able to get trains to be able to run in sequence.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing.
But have a strict opinions about those Ghibli picture guys. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. I hate you.
That's a little bit of inconvenience you got to take. No
Ghibli picture.
Forget those Ghibli pictures. Let the man create art.
Oh, look at this. Squirrel.
Little squirrel.
Have you heard this fact? I forgot which university in California did it. According to the research, the local squirrels in California are turning into carnivorous animals because probably food scarcity.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Look what our environment is coming to.
Thank you.
And we need to save spaces like these. Like, look at this.
This is beautiful.
How strong a tree can be, like holding a whole ass.
Boulder, yeah.
So yeah.
The moss, the nature, all of it's so beautiful.
You can listen to it. You hear the sounds of it.
The ambient noises.
The ambient noises, the creatures. And the roots just growing into the boulder itself. This is what nature is. It's a marvel in itself, and we try to disregard it and
we're killing it. We're
As
killing
we,
the planet.
for what? Parking lots?
For parking lots,
For traffic jams?
to get a minute faster to a place where we could have easily taken
Bike,
some other
skateboarded,
options.
rollerbladed? You know what I'll say, Rumi? Fuck planes, trains, and automobiles, all right? But I love this podcast, but fuck planes, trains, and automobiles, all right?
With this, we'll end today's podcast. Go out, find a trail near you, take a walk,
Touch
touch
some
the
grass.
and we'll see you again.
Catch you on the flip. Comment what you think.